MLSAces Podcast, episode 190. This is your host, Tom Sweezy. I am joined by Jason Vevang. Jason, the beard's looking good. Like the facial hair.
Thank you. Yeah, I decided to grow it a little bit. We'll see where it goes, right?
I like it.
This has been like a week and a half, so we'll see what happens.
I just went to the barber yesterday. I got a full everything done. I cut the beard way too short. I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
I mean, I think it looked good.
No, I don't.
I mean, it's not like you look bad.
No, it's the baby face that I don't like. I need a beard.
That's like when I shave my whole face. I'm like, oh man, I feel like I'm like 10 years younger. Just funny to say because I'm only 25.
15, bro. That's it. Yeah, we have a pretty full episode here to talk about a lot of soccer, a lot of news going around soccer. I feel like this year's rendition of the podcast is a lot more news popping off around the league and U.S. soccer to talk about. So I'm happy about it. But I guess first and foremost, we will say thank you and a shout out to our sponsor, Added Time Outfitters. If you guys are not familiar with Added Time Outfitters, they create soccer-inspired wristbands that really bring 90 minutes of your team's favorite match and most memorable match in a wristband. I actually have mine on this week. Look at this.
You definitely like planned that ahead of time.
No, I've actually been wearing it a lot more. I think you and I talked about it, and I was
we did. I have mine right here.
Hey, there we go. But Added Time Outfitters, Jason's wearing his You'll Never Walk Alone. I'm wearing my NYCFC one. It brings a 90-minute story from your team's favorite and most memorable match to a wristband right on your wrist. And it's pretty cool. It comes with like a card that tells like the scores and everything like that from that game. It's a very cool concept. If you guys want to get a wristband of your own to remember your favorite team from Europe or your favorite team from the United States, women's national team, men's national team, whatever it may be, go over to addtimeoutfitters.com. Use promo code MLSAces and you'll get a nice little discount for a wristband for yourself, your friends, your family, whatever it may be, right? Holidays are coming up, not the end of the year holidays, but you got some other holidays in the middle of the year. I'm sure a birthday's coming up or two. So make sure you grab yourself a wristband. Again, addtimeoutfitters.com, promo code MLSAces, get yourself one and help support us, help support them, and get yourself a cool ass soccer wristband.
They've added a lot since the last time I was looking.
They have a brand new U.S. men's national team one. The CONCACAF Nations League win inspired wristband. So that's
this Nigeria Super Eagles one is really cool.
I saw that one today on Instagram. It was pretty sick. But they do a great job. So go and grab yourself one. Do a little bit more show plugging. If you guys are watching this live on Twitch or watching this afterwards on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you guys want to subscribe on either Twitch or YouTube, that would be totally helpful. I think I might do a giveaway if we get to like 100 followers, subscribers, whatever it may be. I'm not really sure where I'm going with that yet, but we're still a ways off, so I'm not even too worried about it. But if we get 100 subscribers, followers on Twitch or YouTube, then we'll do a cool little giveaway. Also, if you're listening afterwards on the podcast, because that's where I guess things started with the podcast, then please subscribe on there as well. Leave us a nice little review, a nice little comment. Jason, you have a few comments on the Apple iTunes.
Oh yeah, people tend to either like me or hate me, right?
Hey, that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about us, MLSAces.com. We post blogs there almost daily now. We have some stories up about us, other podcasts that are kind of within the MLSAces framework here. And you can also go to patreon.com/MLSAces, support us for a small monthly fee every single month, get invited to the MLSAces chat, get some cool shit, and get to talk to us even more when we're not on camera and on microphone and everything like that. But Jason, let's talk soccer. This is a soccer podcast. This is a soccer show.
And I wasn't on last week, so I'm ready.
You were not on last week, so you're refreshed.
I have not been on with everyone in over 3 weeks.
It's been a little bit since the four of us have been together, but that's okay. Yeah. I think I said it last week. The roster rotation. We're keeping everyone fresh. We're keeping everyone
going on loan, coming back.
I mean, yes, you were also just on a podcast talking about the Chicago Fire, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Let's talk some soccer. We have a list of topics here. You and I have it, not the listeners or the watchers or whatever it may be. Is there anything that kind of tickled your fancy that you want to start with?
Let's start with Caden Clark. not only because it's at the top, but partially because it's at the top of the notes.
Partially because it was the first thing that I looked at. So yes, the big news on Thursday today, if you're watching live, was that the New York Red Bulls sold midfielder Caden Clark to RB Leipzig of the Bundesliga, and he'll remain with the Red Bulls until the end of the 2021 season. If you guys look on Transfermarkt, apparently there is a reported number on there, I think, of $1.7 million for Caden Clark. But the young teenage American, the young attacking midfielder for the Red Bulls, 16 games in his Red Bull career, or New York Red Bull career, right? 7 goals and 1 assist. So, he's factoring in a contribution of some sort in half of his games. And then he also did have an additional 12 games with Red Bulls too, where he had 3 goals and 5 assists. So doing even better there, right? Jason, you saw this news this morning. I mean, this is big. This is pretty cool.
This is awesome. I mean, no matter what he went for, it's definitely over $1.5 million. It's great for Red Bull, another academy guy moving on. It's great for Caden Clark because, like we've seen before, going over to Germany has been pretty solid for a lot of these players. I mean, Tyler Adams did this exact jump. So, I mean, I wonder if he's a little too young for this. I mean, I'm excited regardless, and I don't want to put any doubt in other people's heads, but what is he? Not even 8. He has to be 18, right? He has to be 18 to be able to complete this move.
Yeah, I think I want to say he just turned 18 because
he probably did, because I think you have to be 18 to complete a move to Europe.
He turned 18 in the end of May.
Yeah, so this is pretty early, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, he's going to get a great development over there. I just hope that he's getting actual game time because, I mean he's not going over there and starting.
No,
right?
I wouldn't assume so. I mean, look, I think Tyler Adams was a better product coming out of New York Red Bull than what Caden Clark. Caden Clark's fantastic. Caden Clark is, I think,
he's shown flashes of just phenomenal skill.
I think he's a star within Major League Soccer, and I don't want to say that about many people, but he could arguably be the best American right now playing in Major League Soccer. His form's unbelievable. You got to call up to the preliminary Gold Cup roster. Caden Clark is doing very well. He's scoring goals. He's scoring flashy goals. I like Caden Clark a lot. I want him to be involved in, the U.S. men's national team later on down the line, right? Whether he's playing as one of the 2/8s under Berhalter, whether he's playing as a wing, we've seen him be successful at both. I think, to me, the bigger, interesting piece here, right, is now we have Jesse Marsch at RB Leipzig. We have Tyler Adams at RB Leipzig. We have Caden Clark at RB Leipzig, and obviously heavy rumors of Brendan Aronson also joining RB Leipzig this offseason. RB Leipzig could just be RB America. We could just be taking over.
It's crazy. I think sort of the biggest factor here is the Jesse Marsch factor. It's this. I'm not sure when Jesse Marsch was at Red Bulls in New York.
Yeah.
How old would Caden Clark have been? He would have been in the academy probably.
I mean, I'm sure that there's an overlap.
There is probably some overlap, not necessarily actually coached by Jesse Marsch, but there's no way Jesse Marsch isn't partly spearheading this get for them, which I think is awesome. I mean, I've talked many times about if a manager is going ahead with a player because they you can clearly tell they want this player for very specific reasons and that they obviously know a little bit about it. It's a much better sort of prospect in my eyes than just signing some random guy that a scout told him to, because I'm sure he's keeping tabs on the guys in the Red Bull Academy. And I'm sure when he saw Caden Clark, springing up, he was like, oh, this is a guy that I think he probably was like, oh, he looks coachable, someone who I can manage well and turn into a star potentially. And so I think that's sort of the biggest underrated move there, is that he's not only going to play in Europe in a great league with a lot of really good development where players have been seen, especially Americans, to develop really well in that league, but he's going to play for an American manager and with Tyler Adams, who both can easily help him get acclimated into the area, into a new country, and help him learn.
These other Americans is a perfect point to bring out. A top league, a top team in a top league. He's staying within a system that pretty much plays the same style, so he's going to be used to a style there as well.
Yeah.
Staying within the Red Bull system may be a blessing, may be a curse in its own right. It doesn't allow for. There's always going to be that like connotation of like, he's staying within the same system. He's not really making the jump. He's just kind of moving up down the ladder, but he's still going to be playing in the Bundesliga, right? And if he's getting minutes, I'm happy. Tyler Adams is not starting every game. We're happy. We think Tyler Adams is one of our best players. If Caden Clark can be a consistent 18 player for RB Leipzig, maybe get some, Champions League minutes here and there, and help a team push for a top 2 finish in the Bundesliga. I think that's fantastic, and that's what we should want, right? I think if things go well, it's going to be great. If things go bad, then you're going to have a lot of German fans blaming Americans for screwing up their team. I think there's also that negative point to it too.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of that because I don't think that's not like a major thing though. Like we've seen how successful Jesse Marsch was with Salzburg.
We got blamed for the Super League.
True. But that was partially a lot of American owners doing that. Jesse Marsch earned his way up this ladder.
Yes.
So, and I think a lot of Leipzig fans, I mean, I don't know many, especially many that actually live in Germany, but to me, it seems pretty logical that I wouldn't be too upset with this move.
I think you have to trust.
They sold out and became Rebel, and a lot of people in Germany hate them for that. So
yeah, I mean, look, I agree. I just think that as a fan of RB Leipzig, everything's been going up and up. You have to trust the system. True. I mean, you don't want to pull a Philadelphia 76ers here, but trust the process, right? And it's going up, right?
That's Tom's New York bleeding out mid-podcast. We're just going to switch sports real quick.
Let's switch sports real quick. That's what, New York media does. We just make comparisons to other sports. That's
just losing to Trae Young. You guys like the Spider-Man meme?
Trae Young's eliminating everyone, so don't even right now.
Not the Bulls.
All right, let's move forward. We were talking about ownership, right? RB Leipzig ownership. Let's talk about ownership within, this league and ownership within US soccer in general, right? Because, the Houston Dynamo and Houston Dash of MLS and NWSL respectively have a brand new majority owner, Ted Siegel, who apparently has made his billions in New York through, realty and being a realtor. He just bought a majority stake of the Houston Dynamo and Houston Dash. Other owners, James Harden, Oscar De La Hoya, Gabriel Brenner, who Brenner used to be the majority owner with the Houston Dynamo and Houston Dash, and then Ben Guil, I'm not really sure how you say his name. They're going to remain part of the club as minority owners, but Siegel will take, majority ownership. He'll be taking the front running lead of the club. Pretty cool. I mean, I like that he's coming in and he's saying the right things, right? At the end of the day, you can't really judge the guy because there hasn't been much to do yet. He came in, he's been saying, he wants to turn the Dynamo into a contender within this league. He wants to turn the Dash into a contender within NWSL. He wants to bring in top talent, and he thinks that the Houston, Texas area is a top breeding land for talent of soccer in the United States. And he's not wrong about that piece, but it's about seeing the action now, right? And I think that's really what Houston Dynamo fans are going to be looking for at this piece. But I'm excited about it. You got Tab Ramos, you got a new owner, you have some high, he's saying the right things. I don't know. What did you think?
Honestly, to me, like if a new owner comes into an MLS team at this point, they're putting out a lot of money for that. I think it was reported it was like $400 million or something.
Something like that.
These guys are smart guys, right? Like regardless, like these guys made a lot of money in their careers and know what they're doing in that sense. And to me, if you're gonna buy an MLS team, the risks and the rewards. So at this point in 2021, I feel like most new owners are coming in with that outlook, like we can turn this league into something even bigger, which I mean is kind of just speculation on my part, but like, think of where the NBA was, 15, 20 years ago. It was nowhere near as big as it is now. And a lot of those new owners came in and sort of turned something around, and it kind of kept growing. And I feel like at a much smaller scale, MLS can do something similar where they can just use these new ownerships as like, and I love how it's the dash as well, because I think that can work really well if you really treat both of those teams well. I mean, we've seen in Portland how well they've done it there. So if he's able to come in there and spend some money and not be afraid to, hire the right people and use his money to promote the team, then I think it could be very successful.
I like, it's a combination here of to me of like Portland and Chicago a little bit.
No, we're not doing so well.
Well, no, I'm saying this in that I like the Portland piece, right? You have an owner that is saying the right things. He's showing that he cares. Maybe if he can be a similar type of owner of what we're seeing in Portland, you have a guy who's about branding, about soccer stadiums, about talent, about bringing in names, about all that stuff, about the fans.
About
right?
winning games, which is at the end of the day, that's what's putting people in the seats.
Exactly. So I'm kind of hoping we can see something like what we see in Portland with, the Thorns and the Timbers being consistent competitors every single year. Let's see that now with the Dash and the Dynamo. But the second piece of why I said it's kind of like the Fire transition in ownership is because Siegel was always been there, but he's always been a minority owner, right?
Yeah.
Buying out the majority. Former majority owner still being kind of within the club, but Siegel's taking ownership. He's moving forward. He's probably bringing in a vision that he's been wanting. If I want to bring it to another sport, the New York Mets just recently had this, right? So it's an interesting piece. Really, right now you have to see the actions now of the owner, and he already made some pretty bold statements in his initial ownership, in his initial press conference with Garber and with Lisa Baird, right?
I think it's Baird.
So in his initial press conference, he announced for the Houston Dynamo that Tim Parker, they just signed him to a 3-year extension, which is pretty awesome because Tim Parker is a very good center back. And at the same exact time, they also announced a brand new center back signing. And this is the guy's name, Jason. I know it was this Teenage Hadebe from Yeni Malatyaspor. I butchered the shit out of that, from the Turkish Super League. He's a Zimbabwe international. He has about 60 games played in the Turkish Super League. He's only 25 years old, 30 caps for Zimbabwe at the same exact time. Bringing him in, and I like the move because it's like, I'm being announced as owner. I want to make changes. I want to make us a contender.
And I just do it right away.
In my brain, I just locked down our center back pairing for the next 3 seasons at least, right? Like, this is what I want to see for the next 3 seasons. I like the move.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. When a new owner comes in, it's like, oh, what's he going to do first? Or what is the first thing he's going to do? And signing Tim Parker to a 3-year deal, who, surprisingly, I had to look it up, is only 28 years old. Somehow this guy just feels like he's 40, right?
He's been around a while,
He's been around. But that's a guy you want to have for similar reasons that we've talked so highly of Aaron Long, where that just leadership aspect that he can bring, which, I mean, they obviously played together, but that's one of those guys that I think is great addition to have. Plus, you have this new guy, Teenage Hadebe, from the Turkish Super League, who's really going to be beneficial. The team.
I mean, look, hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if he should pan out, right? Because you're playing alongside Tim Parker. I have a bit higher hope for you than, I don't know, Francisco Calvo playing alongside him, and then it's not going to end well.
So my whole thing is like, when we get guys from like Europe who come into this league, I feel like I've said this before, it might have been with you. I feel like, they have a tougher transition even than like dudes coming from like South America to Major League Soccer. I don't know why. I just feel like players coming from Europe always transition a little worse than Major League Soccer.
A lot of players coming from Europe are also further along in their careers.
Exactly. This guy is, in his prime
25.
of his career. He's young. Well, prime, I don't know, 25. I guess that's
Starting it a little
young,
bit.
whatever. But
I
he's
don't know. I've
playing.
never watched a game that he's played in. You can honestly say
I
that.
don't really watch too much of the Turkish Super League, but
Although the
yeah.
Kaiser Chiefs are always a fun team to play in FIFA.
Hey, the Kaiser Chiefs, they're known for at least developing some African talent. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked his way through the Zimbabwe First Division, which I think is actually very cool. As someone who's like a Football Manager fan, I love it. Then he made his way to the Kaiser Chiefs in South Africa, and then went to the Turkish Super League. That's a pretty cool storyline so far. I don't know. I like it. I just want to see it continue with the.
Those are nice little stepping stones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Turkey, MLS. I like it. I like it. All right, cool. Let's step away from the Houston Dynamo. They did, take up a big chunk of this because they've been in the news a lot, and that's very rightfully so because they have a lot of good stuff going around. So let's jump into the Chicago Fire because shortly after we dropped last week's episode, and I'm kind of glad it happened after we dropped the episode, so you're here to talk about it. But Chicago Fire, brand new logo. I mean, as our resident Chicago Fire fan, yes or no?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a fan. Honestly, to me, I was talking about this a little bit on the other podcast I was on, the Duke by the River. If you want to listen to that also, I was just on that tonight as well. But I really do like it. I think part of me is like, oh, do I really like it because it's so much better than a little oval with yellow mustard and dark blue and a weird crown thing? Yeah, but do I like it just because it's a good logo? Yeah, I do. I like it. I think the I forget what it's called. The shape of like the fire badge could be maybe if I had to pick something, could be maybe a little more obvious. But overall, I'm a fan of the new logo. I think the rumor that there's going to be red jerseys back again will be massive, just in terms of me wanting to buy these jerseys. I'm just way more excited for a red one. Plus, it's part of the identity of the Fire, so that's good. It just bothers me that it took them, 2 tries to get this right. So now there's like a little year stain, which is annoying, but
that you'll always hear about.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a good logo. It's definitely like a refreshed logo, so I can't be too upset.
No, I really did enjoy it. I think that we've seen the Chicago flag style, right? Be very successful with the soccer crowd with the Red Stars.
Yeah, their logo is phenomenal.
And I think that that's what they were kind of going for here as well, right? It was a little bit of that, like let's make it Chicago, let's make it the light blue, let's make it red, and let's kind of rock it. And I love it. I think that yes, maybe taking 2 tries and getting it isn't always the most ideal
way,
but you got it right?
Honestly, I think I saw some people who were upset with the new logo, and at this point, I'm pretty sure people are just mad at everything. Every new logo, they're not all that bad.
No. So
is the New England Revolution one official yet? Because we haven't been able to talk about that, so maybe we should wait.
But we talked about it a little bit last week, just because I think Vaughn really wanted to talk about it. So I like the Revs logo. I hate that I like the Revs new logo because I also like the clip art flag logo. But
now you can get a jersey of it.
Yeah, right now I'll get it on the cheap, right? But I like this Fire logo. Let me get my thoughts in order here. So I was listening to Extra Time, and I think David Goss said this. He was like, I like that teams are rebranding because MLS is in a different point. MLS is had a different understanding on the global market, and teams want to rebrand themselves for this new modern MLS. I get it. I like it. And I'm totally a fan of that. I don't think that means you should, kind of throw out old logos and forget your history a little bit. But I think that means let's rebrand, let's have this logo, but this is our logo for the next 20 years. I don't want to see the Crew turn out a logo in 2 years, or the Fire turn out a new logo in 2 years, or Charlotte or whoever, right? I don't want to see that. I want to see these are your logos for a while now. I get it. Maybe in a decade's time, we want to refresh this, but like that's
not longer. I think you should be keeping your logo for way longer, 20, 30 years. If it's something that is working, there's no reason to change it. And that's part of, I think, what people are upset about. But the New England Revolution logo, as much as people love it, the old logo, I mean, it could do for a refresh. I know people are going to bring out their pitchforks for me saying that, but it could. It just could. Like, it doesn't have a single word. You don't even know what team it's for. If you're just some random ass guy walking down the street and you see that on a jersey, that's a problem.
I love me, and I think it's more just because, and we said this last week, it's more because this is the last remaining OG logo, and I think that's the reason why everyone is like bringing out the pitchforks and like ready to defend this till death, because it's like it's
like the most drastic of the last. Like, there's still some logos that kind of carry that like older feel to it. Like, I wouldn't say Toronto's feels super refreshed and modern.
I like it though.
I'm not saying it's bad. No, I'm not saying it's bad at all. I think New England's logo is actually really good. But if you don't watch any MLS and you're walking down the street, which is the people who are catering to buy the merchandise in some ways, like the diehards are buying this shit no matter what. Like you and me who talk about this stuff every week, like we're fine with these logos because we know when we look at that it's the Revs, but nobody knows that.
Because it's my baby and I love it and I'll defend it. That's it.
Nobody just walking down the street can pick up on that. You Google New England Revolution logo and people are like, where does it say New England Revolution? Like,
why is it a flag?
They're not like Nike. You can't just put the check mark and be like, yeah, everybody knows.
Whatever. The Reds are getting a new logo. The Fire have a new logo. The Crew have a new logo. Everyone's rebranding because it's the cool thing to do. That's pretty much
Montreal. We can just keep going.
Whatever. I guess let's talk about new brands potentially popping up and definitely popping up. So this was an interesting one. Not a lot of news out around it outside of the major information that was thrown out initially, but Major League Soccer announced a brand new league coming in the 2022 season. This is going to be hopefully an attempt that is going to branch the MLS Next Academies along with, MLS First teams. So hopefully somewhere in the middle, right? This is going to be a professional soccer league within the middle of academies in the first division in U.S. soccer. It's rumored, this did not come out in the announcement, but this is rumored to kind of fall within the third division of U.S. soccer right now. So right now, in the third division of U.S. soccer is going to potentially be this new MLS league, USL League One, and NISA. So third division's bumping right now. We got a lot of teams bouncing around the third division of U.S. soccer. But this league is set to begin with 20 teams in play in 2022. And these clubs are going to be a mix of MLS-owned clubs, so a lot of twos and Bs and all that stuff, and some new market teams as well, with some opportunities for some independent teams to be joining. So maybe we have MLS trying to counter USL here and maybe get into what could possibly be promotion relegation. No, I'm not even going to get into that.
I mean, we talked about this. I mean, if you have MLS like B teams, you can't really do promotion relegation.
I mean, Spain does it.
True. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Good point. But this is funny because there's such a power struggle going on, and you can totally see it, but nobody's saying anything. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna release this now, and then this is gonna be released, and it's just like a crazy power struggle between USL and MLS right now.
I think MLS saw USL announce the League One 2 years ago. And I think they were like, well, we got to do something, because if we don't do something, then USL is going to indefinitely instill promotion relegation. People are going to be a fan of it, and we may potentially lose fans.
Well, why do I think we were just talking about this recently? Didn't the USL do something recently?
USL opened up a women's division. That was cool.
That was cool. I don't know if that was it, though. I don't know. Either way, this is just funny to me because it's clearly like, which is really a great thing, right? This competition will only make U.S. soccer in general, like as the landscape of the game, just better.
More teams, more competitions.
Yeah, more views, more competition between who is like the best league. I honestly, this stuff pushes me to think there will be pro rel, which is like crazy to say, but
I don't want this to turn into a pro rel conversation because
it doesn't have to be. But
that's a nasty hole we're gonna go down.
I mean, the amount of leagues that are starting to pop up, like, I'll just say there's a logical outcome.
The shade you just threw at U.S. soccer, you're like, no.
Unless we have just like 17 standalone leagues. That's what I was referring to.
There is the possibility for promotion relegation in the future. I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't think I'll ever see it. I'm just saying there is the possibility, right? There's also the possibility that dinosaurs come back. Not saying it's going to happen.
What?
Likely, you know.
Did you just watch
Jurassic Park? Yeah, maybe.
Like yesterday.
But
oh my gosh.
But I like this move. Definitely a shot at USL 1,000% because they're pulling all of, I think 8 B or 2 teams stopped play this year in USL, and you know they were taking a hiatus. I wonder what for. You know, like this also wasn't a very good kept secret within US soccer. There's also, and I want to just throw this out quickly for my lower league nerds like myself. There's also the rumors that the Rochester Rhinos, had they been, you know, rumored to be returning to professional soccer for a while now, USL's never made a comment. Apparently,
they're having a party.
Is that they could be joining Major League Soccer within this new division. Jamie Vardy, brand new owner of the Rochester Rhinos, bringing his teams to Major League Soccer. I like it.
There's no pro rel. What?
That's it.
But how do we get? Yeah, it's like a Ted Lasso joke. How do we get there?
They have a fucking clip art flag as their logo.
Which reminds me, did you see the video that the U.S. women's national team put out with Ted Lasso? Oh, yes. Phenomenal.
So, well, I'm going to finish up with this by saying this is super cool. Once more stuff comes out, we'll talk about it more. I think the only team right now to be confirmed is Timbers 2 have joined this new league. So cool.
Classic Portland Timbers. Way ahead of the game.
Classic Timbers. But yeah,
they're in a league of their own, literally.
Yeah, they're the champs right now. No one's in front of them. Let's talk about the U.S. Women's National Team Olympic roster. I mean, Ted Lasso came out and he announced the women's roster. That was hysterical. I loved it. I still have not seen Ted Lasso, but I loved every second of it. Oh my god! So, Jason, you watched Ted Lasso. You are a huge U.S. WNT fan and a huge NWSL fan. You got to give me the takes right now.
I mean, this was an amazing video. I might have to go watch it again after the video. I mean, I think this roster wasn't overly surprising. I'm really happy to see Christy Mewis there. Of all the names, I think she was sort of one of those on the cusp, especially because, you know, there's Macario who was sort of on the cusp as well, who people wanted to see, really young, up-and-coming player. But Christy Mewis coming in, I mean, there's no one that probably earned her spot more than her at this point. Like, the amount that she's put in the last year and a half, 2 years, to just rise from seemingly out of nowhere, just really, really awesome for her to be there. And she deserves it like crazy. Yeah, she 100% deserves it. Tobin Heath apparently is almost back from injury and will be playing.
Yeah, when I saw Tobin Heath get announced, I was like, I'm glad to hear that because
when she's on the field, she's maybe one of the most crafty players ever. But
she's very dominant.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where she ends up in terms of how many games she's actually playing, and especially because she's coming off an injury and these major tournaments are usually pretty condensed. The only person that I'm like kind of sad that isn't there that I wanted to be there the most is Sophia Smith, just because I think she's got some crazy good potential.
You push Sophia Smith so much.
I do it all the time, and I think she should be there over, I'm not going to say the name. And with someone else. You know?
We love all of you. No, I had a big snub. I thought Midge Purse was snubbed in this roster.
Yeah, 100%. I thought she would. Actually, Midge Purse and shoot, now it's leaving me. Lynn Williams, yes. I thought were two players who it kind of surprised me that Tobin Heath made it over one of them because I think they play to Vlatko's ideas of what he wants to do really well. And Midge Purse is just so usable anywhere.
Who were the three, the four alternatives? It was Macario, Williams, Kruger, Casey Kruger, and then a goalkeeper. I can't think of
Jane Campbell. Jane
Campbell. Okay. Yeah. So, at least, like this USWNT roster is so talented that
it's crazy who we have to leave off.
It's crazy that like you could probably name like a starting 11 of players that we left off that we were like, I could totally see them just fitting into this roster.
Or you could be like, yeah, you could name another 11 players that could win a World Cup potentially.
Yeah, we should just throw out 3 teams, get gold, silver, bronze, and just walk away.
I don't know if we could do that with 3 teams.
We could.
There's some good teams.
This defense, the last thing I want to finish up with the women's national team Tokyo roster is this defense is like legit though. Like this squad that Vlatko brought for defense. I don't know why. Like
this is the defense that if you asked me to write down who do you think will go, this is like everybody's defense.
I mean, just Dahlkemper alone, I think, like just throw her out there. She's good. Don't worry.
I mean, the pairing of Dahlkemper and Sauerbrunn is just unbeatable, right? And then you have Dunn and Sonnet or O'Hara. It's just on the wings. That defense is why go away from anything that unless they, make you. Like, that is just too good. It's too good.
This is just a star-studded roster.
Then you have Julie Ertz as like your D mid, or Lindsay Horan or Sam Ewis or like whoever they want to put there. And
or it's just, Rose Lavelle, who's just dominant in her own right.
Yeah, she'll spin around her way into the goal, basically.
She'll just score another game winner in a final and, just continue to be a star. I mean, look, this women's team roster should, I think, win a gold, right? At the end of the day, like maybe, like not even maybe, like this isn't like giving over expectations for this team. This team should go out and win it.
No, the expectation is gold, and I think anything else for them at least would be seen as a failure.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. I think we should hold them to that standard. I think that's totally fair. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's move into, I guess, you want to talk about some MLS action or you want to talk about the Gold Cup roster?
Let's talk about that goal. That goal.
Which goal?
That goal. You know what I'm talking about.
Can you enlighten me? Which one?
Versus Atlanta.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
That goal. I thought you would get it from me just saying that goal.
Because I was like, which goal? Sorry, I have the notes in front of me, and I probably should have been able to pick that one out. But
that one's like the only goal on here, too.
Jakob Glesnes. That game, it's not even a game winner. Game tying goal.
In like the 95th minute, to be fair.
Like this dude, all he does is just hit bangers. Like legit. Like this guy comes in. If you remember, Glesnes last year against LAFC hit that free kick goal that won it from like 40 yards out, like hit an absolute bomb. This guy from like, I don't even know, from like Mars hits this thing. Brad Guzan, all he can do is just watch this thing just rattle back and forth. And game tie, 2-2.
Hits the crossbar, hits the ground like 4 different times.
It hits it legit. If you watch this goal, go and find Jakob Glesnes' goal against Atlanta United for the Union. Watch it. It hits the crossbar and the ground 3 times in like 5 seconds. Like it's crazy. I mean, that's really the only thing I kind of wanted to talk about from this game, just because we have to mention how sick of a goal that was.
It was one of the coolest goals I've ever seen.
Like, no more goals are allowed to be scored in 2021. I don't care about the Euros.
Well, I saw that goal. It was like,
America.
No way did he just hit that absolute screamer.
Did you see Brad Guzan's face afterwards? Like he was just so defeated.
I wouldn't have been that. I would have just been like, "Damn, that's mad respect." Like I can't even.
Shit.
I have nothing to say. I would have clapped. I would have just stand there and clapped. Like, wow.
We've talked on this podcast about a goal that like Zlatan scored like 2 or 3 years ago, where like you saw him almost like burn a hole in the back of the net. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I remember we went like heavy into talking about it because it was a sick goal. This goal was physically kicked so much harder than
there were a couple Zlatan goals in his MLS tenure that were just absurd.
Yes.
His little karate back heel.
I mean, that was in the Puskas finals, right?
I think so. I mean, it was like his 500th goal or something. I don't.
Yeah,
even
maybe
know.
that's why it was a finalist.
Or the goal in his first game from like 60 yards. I don't even know how far.
In El Tráfico.
Yeah, El Tráfico was great.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I don't think any of those goals can touch this. I really don't. Like, I'm watching it right now, and again, if you haven't seen this,
the way it bounces up and down after going in,
he just hits this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. That shit just bounced.
It's not even 5. It's like 3 seconds.
Bam, 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 bam.
And everyone is just like, what?
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, well, the Philadelphia Union over the weekend secured a point with that unbelievable goal. And again, if you're listening to this, whatever it may be, go and find that goal because you need to see that if you're a soccer fan in your life. Like that's it. You have to be able to see that. That's all I really want to talk about with that game. Let's stick with the weekend because, we've already had some midweek action games, so I don't want to talk about too much about the weekend games. But Matt Turner over the weekend ripped my heart out, stepped on it, and like spit on it, and then kind of stomped a little bit more.
He's known to do that.
I don't know if you got a chance to watch this game, but I'll break it down for you. NYCFC looked super dominant. We were getting in on goal. Like, we had possession. We were fucking killing it. Defense sucked, right? The Revs also have a very good attack. Set pieces, they beat us on. Tommy McNamara, ex-NYCFC player, scored the game winner, so that was fun. But really, the storyline here and the player of the game here is Matt Turner. Had 7 saves, stopped the PK. He just made some unbelievable actions and is probably why, many people call him like one of the best goalkeepers they've ever seen in Major League Soccer. Why many people say Turner should be fighting for the number 2 spot, even the number 1 spot for the U.S. men's national team, because this kid is good. He's not even a kid anymore, but he's just good. Right? Like, Matt Turner probably will be in Europe after this season, especially if he has a good showing in the Gold Cup, because he also made the preliminary roster. But it's unbelievable just how a goalkeeper can win you games on their own, and this guy does it. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, in a game that ended 3-2, and he had that many saves.
And you're still talking about a goalkeeper,
right? Yeah,
and
you're still talking about him, and it's like, man, he really fucked us. Like,
if Matt Turner wasn't in net, that game would have been like 6-2 NYCFC. Or like 6-3 NYCFC, I guess.
And I feel like that's the thing we used to talk about with Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
For so long. It's like he was winning them games. And it's something that just like can't get overlooked, because if you have a keeper that's doing that, Andre Blake, I feel, is pretty similar. Even Sean Johnson for you guys does it.
Not this year.
Every once in a while, though. And he's had his moments, but there's some keepers out there who, when all the shit hits the fan, like, they can still get you the win. And it is so overlooked at how important that can be.
Yeah. I goalkeeper is an interesting position in MLS because
Sam's loving this, by the way.
Sam's either watching live or he's gonna like listen tomorrow and text us and be like, guys, I love the goalkeeper talk. I wish I was there for it. But like, goalkeepers in MLS, there's good goalkeepers. Like, there's your average starter, borderline backup goalkeeper. There's very good goalkeepers. I like to think the Tim Melias. I like to think the Bill Hamids. I like to think
Andre Blake.
No, not.
Oh, you're not putting him in there. I see what you're doing.
I think they're very good. Then I think there's the goalkeepers who can win you a game like on their own. I think there's 3 goalkeepers in that category right now in MLS, maybe 4. I think it's Matt Turner. I think it's Andre Blake. I think it's Jonathan Bond for the Galaxy, because that dude saves balls left and right.
And their defense is literally garbage.
Yes. And in 2021 only, because I've only seen this for 2021, Brad Stuver for the Austin FC, he had 18 saves in 2 games last week.
It's absurd.
Like,
so would you put Eloy Room in like the very good, or
Eloy Room is in the good? I love Eloy Room. I just don't think he's the type of keeper that's.
I feel like he was a little bit higher, and he's kind of come down a little bit.
Yes, but he's still in a class of goalkeeper of a Hamid, of Amelia, where you're like, I would love you of a Sean Johnson. I love you for my team.
Like, I want you on my team.
Yeah, you're just
every single person you named, and we're stuck with Kenneth Cronholm and
Bobby Shuttleworth. Baby, 11 saves against Cincinnati.
I actually have Bobby Shuttleworth's autograph. I don't know where I put it.
You want to talk about El Crapico?
I mean, we
honestly,
can.
I really just wanted to bring it up just to hear your quick take reaction of you guys officially.
It's bad. You know how much I've given shit to Cincinnati for
you
being
guys
so
are
bad?
Officially the worst team in the league. How does it feel?
Give us the title of Wooden Spoon. Just put it the Chicago Fire Wooden Spoon Award. That's what it should be, because we're about to get 3 of them in a span of like 5 years. FC Cincinnati, I think, got the other 2, which is hilarious.
You're melting down. I like it.
It's brutal.
So I pointed this out to you in a text message a little while ago. You guys have scored 4 goals all season long.
Yeah.
Chicharito and Raul Ruidiaz have doubled your team's goal total in 10 games.
Hey, but those guys are good.
They're very good, but I don't think one player should be. 2 players are doubling your team's total goals. Not great.
It's the lowest in the league. The defense is not good. I mean, the fact that we've scored 4 goals, just take away 2 of them, because they came within 20 minutes of the league starting, the season starting. So we had 2 goals within 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure we've scored 2 in like 800 minutes since. That's like 7 games plus 80 minutes or 70 minutes of another, right? What do we play? 10
games.
Everyone not played 10 games though. We've played 9. We've played 9.
Okay.
So in 8 games and 70 minutes, which would be, I have no idea, like 600 minutes, we've scored 2 goals.
Yep. You guys are not good. That's strictly what it is. Your Robert Beric, I think, is still talent-wise one of the best strikers in the league, but
he's at least shown he can score, and I don't know what's going on. Someone's got to give. He's actually missed some really easy goals, in my opinion. Some chances he would have put away last year, which makes me feel like there's something else going on. But I don't want to make excuses for this team. There's literally no excuses to be made. They're just garbage everywhere on the field.
So, in your opinion, I'm going to give you 3 head coaches who's on a worse hot seat. Is it Vicky? Is it Jaap Stam? Or is it Matias Almeida?
I think it's Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
We've 4 points in 9 games? I'm still surprised we beat Inter Miami, first of all. But nah, it's definitely him. Like, the others have had their ups and downs a little bit, right? It's more down.
Almeida just lost 5-0 midweek.
Yeah, more downs than ups. But at least Almeida has won more than 1 game, right? What are they at?
I don't know.
3 wins, 1 draw, and 6 losses. They're sitting on 10 points.
Your team's just like...
We have minus 10 goal differential, which is tied with Cincinnati for worst in the league.
I look at your roster. Like, I'm looking at the starting.
It's not bad if you just look at the players. It's bad if you just look at the field.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, honestly, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I don't really want to spend this much time talking about it. I really
Me neither. I already talked about it.
That's fine. That's fine. We're done. No more El Crapico talk. Both Cincinnati and Chicago suck. Chicago just sucks more. Let's talk about some good stuff.
We play them again, though. We're going to have El Crapico 2.0.
Let's talk about some good stuff. So let's talk more midweek games. On Tuesday, we had Orlando City host San Jose. A few weather delays and also some thunder being laid down by this Orlando City attack. We saw Nani have a goal and 2 assists. We saw Daryl Dike with the brace, Benji Michel with the brace. 5-0 win for Orlando City. I think I was calling for Matias Almeida's head after this one, and I'm not even a Quakes fan, right? But this Orlando City attack, especially now that Daryl Dike's back, is filthy. Chris Mueller also tacked on an assist as well, if you forgot about him. I mean,
it's absurd.
How good, or I guess how scary does this make Orlando City? If
Daryl Dike is going to put 6 on his own on the Fire.
Daryl Dike should have, if you watch this game, I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but if you watch this game, Daryl Dike missed 2 opportunities he should have easily put away. He should have came away with this game with 4 goals. Easy. It's ridiculous.
Before we were saying he probably will never play a game for them again. And here he is, and he's absolutely killing it still. I don't understand what is going on. They just want to win the league so bad, and then they'll sell him, maybe? I don't know, man.
Look, maybe they're like, okay, we've been hearing the $20 million number around DK's head. Maybe they're like, okay, you saw what he did in his first professional season. You saw what he did on a short loan spell with a crappy team that he pretty much pushed to a championship playoff.
Yeah.
And now watch him go score 15 goals in after missing 2 months of a season, and he's going to bring us to a playoff run. And now we're going to sell him.
I could legitimately see DK getting the Golden Boot without even playing the first month or 2 of the season.
If you can have Nani continue to play the way he has, because Nani has been fantastic.
But this just takes the load off of all of them as well.
That's the thing is Nani, maybe he falls off because opponents become very used to okay, we take away Nani, Mueller and Benji Michel aren't going to beat us on our own. We take away Nani. Now Mueller's still dishing it out to DK, or Mueller's still doing something himself. And now Benji Michel is coming off the bench, and Tesho Akindele is coming off the bench now. This Orlando City team has options outside of Nani when Nani is.
There was some also just atrocious defensive breakdowns. So sometimes I think DK must be running up the field, and he receives a ball, and he gets surprised because he was just playing in the championship. He's like, what? No one's within 10 yards?
I have this much space to score. Look, I think that also plays a part into it. I think San Jose is not a great team right now. I think defensively they're missing a lot, and I think that also allowed a very stellar attack to look even better. I don't expect Orlando City to score 5 every single week. Would I love to see it? Yes, but I just don't expect that to happen.
Well, they got Inter Miami, New York Red Bulls, and then the Fire, and then Toronto. So it's not like their schedule is super difficult.
No, that's definitely some squads that they can score goals against too.
They right now have 16 goals on this season. Oh my God. It's really hard for me to read something like that because we have 4.
Yeah. They just quadrupled your goal total.
The highest I think is Sporting Kansas City with 20. Yeah.
Hey, good for Vaughn.
Thanks, Vaughn. You more than quadrupled my total.
All right. That's that. I told you in the private chat here, I had a question for you about Daryl Dike. What was a more surprising, I guess, return to or just debut in Major League Soccer? Was it Daryl Dike coming back? Was it Justin Che not getting the Bayern Munich call up and now he started this week for FC Dallas? Or was it Bobby Wood making his first appearance for RSL? That's a crazy 3 names to fucking throw together.
The fact that you even said Bobby Wood in that is it's surprising within itself because I just part of me just forgets that he exists. I'm sorry, Bobby Wood.
So excited when I saw Bobby Wood getting ready to sub on for Nick Beasler. I was let's go.
It's weird. I'm Bobby Wood used to be one of those guys we used to talk about on this podcast. Not even that long ago. On this podcast, probably a year or 2 ago, we were like, this guy
more than that.
2 years. I've only been here for a little over 2 years, I think. It was early on when I was
When
here.
did he start like just not even playing? That's the real question.
I think it was probably 2.5 years ago.
You continue with where you were going with
But
that.
but it's just like I just forget where he is. To me, I think it's DK because we heard all these rumors about how much money he was worth, but all these teams interested. It's surprising to me that he didn't move to a team that needed him, or not needed necessarily, but a team that, could afford him and wanted him. Whereas like Justin Che, he's only 17 years old.
Yeah, but we heard the rumors, man, of what of what Bayern Munich are ready to jump on this kid, and then all of a sudden, what something doesn't go through because of finances. Like that's the confusing part.
It doesn't go through with finances for Bayern Munich. There's no way that's a truth.
I don't.
They got so much money.
Apparently, Bayern Munich were loving what he was doing with the U19.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is surprising. Maybe they maybe they know they can get him in a year.
I don't know.
Although his value could skyrocket if he just.
I think that Dallas were probably like, you saw what you got out of Chris Richards, Justin Che, and this is probably how they were selling it. I don't personally believe
they probably wanted a big sell-on fee or something.
They were probably wanting a sell-on fee, but they were probably like, okay, Justin Che is an even better Chris Richards. Like, let's get him for even more, because Chris Richards did not go for that much money to Bayern.
No,
but
Dallas, I think, is catching on about how much they can actually make off this stuff.
Because Dallas is actually like their prospects are hitting a world market now. They have a starter for Hoffenheim, a starter for Juventus. Like people know what you're getting out of Dallas. Reggie Cannon, Brian Reynolds. Like what you're getting out of FC Dallas products if they make it to the.
And they know, and they are aware of what they're getting.
So that's why I'm saying maybe Bayern just didn't want to overpay for Justin Che. Justin Che is fantastic. Like, yes, his debut in Major League Soccer didn't go the way, I'm sure he wanted it, a 2-0 loss to LAFC, but he's a kid at the end of the day.
He's 17.
He's legit like a child, and he is going to have a long, fantastic career. He's super talented. I don't want to he's very good, and that's it. He's going to play. He's going to go over to Europe again someday, and hopefully Bayern don't screw it up, and Bayern can bring this kid in. So.
I think to answer your question though, it would probably be DK because I just didn't expect him to play a game.
Yeah, same. I might have made a tweet out there that I hope no one finds about Daryl Dike if he ever played for Orlando City again. But
okay, well,
that's fine. I tweet a lot, so no one will find that.
But you underestimate me.
Pretty much, I brought up the question just to talk about those three dudes. That was pretty much it. I just think it's pretty insane that those three guys are together in a weekend or in a week of MLS soccer. And Bobby Wood got his major benching in the 2019-2020 season. So there you go. All right, cool. So I guess we should move on to Minnesota. I definitely wanted to bring them up because I feel like they are kind of bouncing back from the early season struggles that we saw from them. I think Vaughn said it best when he was like, Minnesota's got they have to win a lot of games in a short amount of time now. Like they've dug themselves a pretty good hole. Now they have to pick up points. Well, Minnesota's been winning games. They've been picking up points. This week, their brand new signings got them the win. 2-0 win over Austin in a midweek game. Fragapane, and that was tough. Fragapane and who now, they scored the 2 goals for Minnesota in this one. Fragapane, I'm pretty sure, had a goal and an assist in this one as well. So he's looking good. This Minnesota team is starting to look like the dominant Minnesota team that I think we expected heading into the season, and Reynoso hasn't even looked that good to me. I think it's players being played in the right position, and now that Adrian Heath and Minnesota's have the guys that they want in, I think that's a big piece to it. Yeah,
I mean, they started with 4 straight losses, right? And then they are now on a 5-game unbeaten run here to kind of jump their way up. They're now in 9th on points, so this is by no means like a horrible position compared to where they started. I mean, they had less points in their first 4 games than the Fire. Look at us now. But
I think with how bad we've seen results from Dallas, we've seen results from Vancouver, we've seen results from San Jose, and even Austin really not taking it. So Austin took tough all road games. They've had one home game to start the season, but just with the results that we've seen from all of the teams underneath Minnesota right now, even LAFC not really looking LAFC-esque, that's helped Minnesota kind of elevate themselves in the standings. But look, you also have a lot of teams in front of you who have looked very good this season, and it's going to be tough to get around them. But you got to keep on winning, and hopefully who now, and Fragapan can really help lead this.
Yeah, I mean, these signings, to have an impact this early on is massive for them. If they can even replicate a third of that every couple games, I think they'll be okay, because you expect the other players to step up in their roles as well. I mean, the team is talented, and I think all of us on the podcast really expected them to be higher in the standings at this point, but it's not out of the question that by the end of the season they could be in those, even top 5 spot. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's not by no means is it easy, especially you got Seattle already on 24 points.
That's insane.
Yeah, you've got Seattle on 24 and SKC on 20. So these guys jumped out to a big lead. But
we also, us on the podcast, we picked Houston and RSL to finish dead last in the West, and they're both sitting in a playoff spot right now. So it's like, obviously Major League Soccer is this interesting beast that I don't think many people can predict or understand, but I think Minnesota's gonna kind of right that ship, right? I think they're figuring things out a little bit. They're having players come in healthy, playing people in right positions. Sonny Dotson's not a winger, and I think Adrian Heath figured that out.
I think they're too talented to finish where they're finishing.
I think with getting people healthy too, it's going to be big. So let's talk about one last game from the midweek action we had this week, and that was LAFC FC Dallas. We already talked a little bit about it with the Justin Che talk, but Dallas lost 2-0 to LAFC. Bank of America Stadium was going nuts in a midweek game. I love to see that, and I think they were going nuts extra hard because Carlos Vela was a factor on both goals. He scored the first goal, assisted Latif Blessing on the second goal. I mean, LAFC have not had the results this season. They have, looked pretty all season long. I will definitely say that. Bob Bradley's style is a pretty style of soccer. The results have not been there. But with Carlos Vela scoring with maybe a little bit of swagger back in Carlitos, I mean, you have to think that this is a good sign, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is another team that has way too much talent to be sitting in 8 right now. I think part of it, Vela came off an injury, right? So
an injury, mysterious. Did he still want to play? It was
a little. They had a rough start to the season emotionally, I guess. Yeah. But I think this team is. I mean, Carlos Vela, Diego Rossi. If you have both of those guys, you're going to be okay. And they're going to figure it out eventually. As long as those two guys are on the field, good things are going to happen. And, I mean, they're two guys that are just too talented in MLS, especially to be where they're at right now. I mean, this team, we've talked about this team as, one of the best almost ever, in terms of points acquired or whatever and goals scored. They're up there with some of the, in the record books already at this point. Carlos Vela had 30-some goals last year.
I think
or 2 years ago.
I think that, LAFC on paper, on the field, have too much talent to not be a fantastic team right now. Currently, present day, 2021, a very good team in Major League Soccer. I don't think they're going to be as good as what we thought they were going to be preseason. I hate going back to ceilings and windows and floors and whatever.
Windows and doors. And
I think Minnesota has a higher ceiling than LAFC at this point. I think Minnesota could finish. I think that realistically they're going to finish higher than LAFC. There's just something.
I think that's kind of a hot take.
Really?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think, I don't know. I think Minnesota together will be able to put it together a little bit better. But the talent is so hard to bet against.
Yes, but there's just Brian Rodriguez is coming back to this LAFC side. Where does he fit in? How does he fit in? Does he even suit up? We're going to talk about the Daryl Dike situation again. Does
Rossi even stay the whole year?
Yeah, does Rossi stay the whole year? Does Atuesta stay the whole year? Who knows if Carlos doesn't want to play again? It's like there's so many question marks.
Doesn't want to play again.
Of going on.
It sounds like a little kid. Like, oh, you don't want to go to soccer practice? It's okay.
But whatever. It's interesting. I think this LAFC team is good. I think they're always going to be tough to play against, especially if Rossi, Vela, Baird, whoever you want to talk about, are doing their thing, right? It's just I don't think that they are going to finish like top 4 in the West. I think they're like a 5 to 8, right?
Yeah,
5 to 7.
Could they make some noise in the playoffs? Easily,
because of the talent alone. Yes,
yeah,
I think so. The other thing I just quickly want to mention is that Raul Ruidiaz and Carlos Vela, we mentioned them before. These dudes just keep on scoring.
Chicharito, not Vela.
Sorry, well Vela too. Vela scores constantly, but Ruidiaz and Chicharito keep on scoring within Major League Soccer. Right now, they are tied on the Golden Boot standings with 8 goals each. Just absolutely fantastic. I want to give them their shots. They both scored in midweek action along with Carlos Vela as well. Carlos Hill, he had 3 assists in midweek action and now leads the league with 10 assists through 10 games. The dude's an absolute baller and probably the front runner for MVP right now. Is there anyone else in the league that you can kind of consider outside of these 3 for potentially being MVP of the season?
Outside of these 3, I think these 3 are so far above. I don't really think so.
I have the hot take of Matt Turner.
That's a good take because, of what we talked about before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like to win the MVP, it's got to be like sexy.
Yeah, no.
I'm not gonna lie. It's got to be a little flashy.
No, I don't think goalkeepers. I know only one goalkeeper's ever won an MVP, and Tony Meola. I don't think that Matt Turner is going to do it unless for some.
The MLS people who are voting for MLS MVP are going to see that like, oh my gosh, 30 assists and be like, oh, okay.
He has 36 games in a season for MLS?
36 or 39.
Whatever it is. So he's just averaging an assist a game, that's what it is, right?
He has a couple goals, doesn't he?
I think 1 or 2. It doesn't really matter if you're setting up.
If he finishes the season with like 10 goals and 25 assists, like
yeah, no shit.
If he continues his pace and just blows all the numbers out of the water.
He continues an unbelievable pace. He has 1 goal and 10 assists right now through 10 games.
So in 10 games, you're telling me he's going to have 2 goals and 20 assists?
Yeah.
I wonder what is the MLS assists?
I think it's 20.
I think if he breaks that, he should win MVP.
It's 20 or 21. I think
that's what I'm using as my bar. What? No, not just general stats.
Well, while you find that, let's. I'll set things up for where we're going to go next. Jason's going to confirm the MLS all-time single-season assist leader.
It is 26. Holy shit!
Who?
Carlos Valderrama.
Oh,
Tampa
shit!
Bay Mutiny, 2000. Yeah.
Wait.
20. Maxi Morales and Sasha Kleshtin had 2016 and 2019.
Yeah, I knew Sasha and Maxi were up there. Valderrama had 26 assists in a single season when they played like fucking 12 games.
Tampa Bay Mutiny in 2000.
Yeah, they played.
I don't know. Maybe this is off. Wikipedia.
That's true. That's fucking ridiculous. They played like 22 games or some shit like that. Like there wasn't that many.
I think it's wild that Josef scored 31 goals in 2018, and then the very next year, Zlatan had 30 goals and Vela had 34.
Yep. Yeah. Just there was a point
but before that, the record was 27.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right. Let's finish things up with a little, we've talked about it plenty, right? A little Gold Cup preliminary roster chat. Just to kind of continue to talk about the MLSAces site a little bit, we have a bunch of brand new blogs out on the site. I think this week we had a blog come out from Sam about the change in DC United from Ben Olsen to Hernan Losada. Our brand new blogger Finister, he came on and he's doing some blogging about the Houston Dynamo. So he had a brand new blog, kind of introducing himself as a Houston Dynamo fan to the MLSAces faithful. Our Red Bull blogger Matt Sia, he's covering the Red Bulls. He covered their 2-0 win over Nashville when Nashville was previously undefeated. So, the Red Bulls beating Orlando City and Nashville and being the undefeated defeaters. And I put out a blog this week talking
I don't know
about
why I found that funny.
the USMNT 60-man preliminary roster for the 2021 Gold Cup. And I'm not going to read through every single player because that's 60 names and that's
and a lot of them aren't making it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them. Look, this 60-man roster has to be cut down to a 23-man roster for the Gold Cup. So I guess we'll go group by group. We're not talking about players, but, Jason, I want to hear your takes on, I guess, your top 1 or 2 picks. I obviously have my picks from the MLSAces blog that I'll say it on here as well. It's fine. But goalkeepers, Jason, I guess I don't think this one's too shocking, but I guess what are your two?
I think Matt Turner.
Yeah.
And then I think my second one would actually be Bill Hamid.
Interesting.
Which is probably kind of surprising, but maybe Tamilia.
So I went with Turner as well. And for me, I went Sean Johnson as the backup. Maybe
I'd be fine. I'd be fine with any of these guys as the backup. I don't think these guys are getting any minutes.
No, I mean, I think it's Matt Turner and then whoever else you want to say is the backup, I'm okay with, right? They're all veterans in their own right who have been around the U.S. men's national team in general.
I'd be kind of bummed if it was Guzan.
Yeah.
Because he is a little older, and I just don't think that's helping us in any way.
I prefer Sean Johnson or Bill Hamid. They're a little bit younger. They have a chance to be like that third goalkeeper, really.
I thought for a while Sean Johnson would be the third guy, but
he's been getting some call-ups underneath Berhalter, so I really wouldn't be surprised if it's Johnson, but I think Turner's the starter here. Like, let's lock him in
easily. That actually is a lock.
All right, let's look at the fullbacks. We'll go fullbacks in general. We won't break it up here. So left backs, right backs.
You already know who I'm excited about.
I mean, you can say it. I picked him for my starting left back.
The Vine man himself. Sam Vines.
I like it. The Vine man. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I am also agreeing that I think Sam Vines is our best left back in this group. I think he has gotten appearances under Berhalter as well. I think he is a no doubt pick for left back, but right back, I want to say it's going to be the same pick here because it just makes sense.
Reggie Cannon.
Yeah, it's Reggie Cannon.
Yeah, so far it hasn't been too difficult, right?
Reggie Cannon just being one of the few dudes who obviously just won the Nations League title. Right? He scored against Costa Rica a few days after as well. So, I think Vines and Cannon are easily going to be. I
think Reggie Cannon is looked at as the highest prospect out of this group.
Probably, yes. Is there, I guess if you had to pick a backup in each of these positions, right, to make a 23-man roster, is there two dudes that jump out at you? Because
I kind of want to see the left backs are interesting. I kind of want to see Paredes.
I like Kevin Paredes has looked very well.
But I've always liked George Bello.
So I went with George Bello just because he's starting every single week for Atlanta. He's playing the true left back while Paredes is playing a little bit of
I think Bello is like the easy pick.
Wow, thanks. Just call me out
not
here.
in like a bad way.
No, George Bello, I think he is the easy pick because I think you could start Bello or Vines, and I think both are very good, and I think both are going to be playing in Europe. The dude, I got down to 22 players, and I had 2 players chalked up at my 23 spot, and I couldn't pick between. So maybe you can help me out here. Mm-hmm. One of the 2 players was Jonathan Gomez for Louisville City. Came out of the FC Dallas Academy.
I love that he's just even on this list.
He's 16. He came out of the FC Dallas Academy, and right now he is a Mexican-American dual national. He trained with Mexico's first team for the Nations League call-ups. I like that Berhalter called him in to get him in. I just don't know if he makes the final roster. And that's my biggest concern is I want to keep him. I want to lock him in. But, like,
I don't think they're thinking about it that way, honestly. I think, well, maybe they are. But I feel like this is bringing him into this. It's like, hey, we do see you.
I think so. I think that's really what it is. Like, yeah, you trained with Mexico for the Nations League stuff. Like, now come train with us for the Gold Cup stuff. Like, you know, it is what like Louisville. I'm sure they'll be annoyed that they're not. You don't have like they don't have you, but like we're more of a priority here. So I can.
Yeah,
see
but I don't think that Greg Berhalter is too upset that Louisville doesn't have one of their players.
I'm saying I think Louisville's upset. But yeah, no. So I went with Vines and Bello for left back. I had Gomez as like one of my 223 man picks. But for right back, I also behind Cannon, I went with Julian Araujo for the Galaxy. I think there's a lot of good picks here too, but I guess
Duncan
would be a good pick. Kyle Duncan's look good. I also like Aaron Herrera a lot, you know, but I guess let's talk center backs. We'll go into them. I think the center back picks are pretty easy. My combo was Zimmerman and Miles Robinson out of this group.
I'm actually like, I thought maybe I'd be surprised if you didn't pick Miles Robinson. I don't know how I couldn't speak right there. I wanted to pick Miles Robinson because I really want to see what he can do with this team.
Yeah.
Because and Walker Zimmerman, I think that's a good pick there.
He's just a veteran of this group.
Yeah, and I mean he's been defending at such a high level for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Miles Robinson is the one who I really want to see because I want to see what he can do with Greg Berhalter as his manager. Yeah. I think Austin Trusty would be an interesting one.
See, everyone's picking Austin Trusty because, like, obviously Trusty plays that left center back role same way as Zimmerman does and Brooks, and we don't have many. You know, we have quite a few people who are left footed.
CCV, I wouldn't be unhappy with.
So my two center backs I picked behind Zimmerman and Robinson were CCV and James Sands. I like Cameron Carter-Vickers a lot. This is his last year on his Tottenham contract, so he's probably going to go out on loan one more time, or hopefully be sold right now from Tottenham, and you can just have a nice fresh contract to start the season off with. He was very good for Bournemouth last season. I watched a lot of Bournemouth, and you know, I think he's a very good center back. I don't want to write him off.
EPB is listed as Manchester City. He's not actually there though.
He is a Manchester City player.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, you know. But yeah, so I went with James Sands too because I think Sands is. I think the dude's like European quality, and I just don't know why the guy doesn't get his men's national team respect. He can also play some D mid too. I mean, maybe it's the NYCFC fan talking at me, but I love James Sands. Like, I think the dude's quality, and I think he should be. I think he should have been at the Olympic qualifying team. Yeah. He wasn't there, and I think he should be in this group. That's.
There's a lot of names on this that I feel like should have been at the Olympic qualifying.
You would think, right? You know, Justin Che, maybe.
Eric Williamson.
Yeah, you know, but sure. Right, let's go focus into this midfield, right? A lot of names in this midfield, and this was the toughest group for me to pick. I think, like, I don't remember how many dudes I officially picked out of a midfield, but this was the toughest group for me because there's a lot of talent here and a lot of good big names had to be cut. It's
interesting to see Flack on here from Philly.
Leon Flack. Leon Flack is so good.
He's good, yeah, but it's just like such a quick rise, wouldn't you say?
So Leon Flack was my split for the 23-man.
Oh, pick. Really?
It was Flack and Gomez, and I didn't know. I think.
Did you have other defensive mids?
So.
Because my pick would probably be Acosta with Ewell as his backup.
That's what it is I love Leon Flack a lot, and I think Leon Flack might be better than Jackson Ewell, but I also don't want to just have Jackson Ewell's last few performances really taint my view of him. So I went with Acosta and Ewell, two dudes who are on the Nations League roster. Let's bring them in. And Flack being that 23-man kind of toss there for me.
I will say when I went to the Fire game versus Philly the first time, like 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, Flack was someone that I was looking at, trying to see, you know, what he could actually do, and he impressed. He's just a good player.
He can play. I feel like
he seems confident out there too. Well, how old is he? He's pretty young.
He's like 21.
20.
Okay, yeah, Leon. Look, he's going to be a dude who's going to be in the USMNT picture for a while. I really like him. I would, if he made it over Jackson Ewell, I wouldn't be upset. But I also don't want to.
If he made it in general, I wouldn't be upset.
I don't want to
take 3 D mids.
Yeah, just take them all, right? Plus,
James make up for the fact that you didn't take any to the Olympic
qualifier. The more central midfielders, right? Like we play, obviously, the Berhalter system is a 6 and 2 central midfielders.
This is a tough one. Oh my gosh.
So for me, I might have went super like easy here. I don't really know if that's
Eric Williamson.
That's the right wording.
You went with Roldan. I
did not go with Roldan.
Oh, interesting.
So I went with Sebastian Lletget if he's around. I think. Oh,
you picked from both of this group.
Sorry, yes, I picked 1 and 1 from the list that we're on. So Sebastian Lletget, I think, has to be there. I think he is very versatile, and he, again, another dude who's on that Nations League roster.
Oh, that attacking mid is tough.
Another dude who I love. And another guy who I wanted to see paired next to him, and I didn't actually go 1 and 1. I apologize because Sebastian Lletget plays a little bit of an 8 now with the Galaxy. Caden Clark. I want to see Caden Clark, Sebastian Lletget, Kellen Acosta. That's the midfield I want to see. Like, give me it. Okay. I don't know your thoughts.
I think you're right with Lletget just because he's been so good. It's like an automatic selection. With the U.S., like
he's a veteran of this group.
He really is. Man, these attacking mids are really good. Outside of Mihailovic.
Salty.
I would love to see Busio, but there's no chance. But yeah, I agree. I think Caden Clark would be fun. I mean, we just spent a while talking about Caden Clark, right?
You just made a move to a Bundesliga side, you know.
Yeah, so Caden Clark is definitely someone who I think should be on this team.
Yeah.
But what about, I mean, I kind of want to see Eric Williams. There's so many names.
So that's why the midfield is super tough to me. So I'll tell you my 6 I picked for the midfield. The starting 3, like I said, was Lletget, Caden Clark, and Kellen Acosta. The 3 I had picked behind them was Gianluca Busio, was Eric Williamson, and was Jackson Ewell. That obviously leaves off a lot of names.
Leon Flack and Paxton Pomykal, I think, are the biggest names you left off.
Well, Flack was my 23-man guy at this point.
Oh,
so
true.
That's where I was going with. So
wait, who was the other 23-man guy?
Gomez. That was more of the.
Yeah, I think you take Leon Flack and then you get Acosta, Flack, Ewell. Honestly, I hate to say it, but like, what if you just did Acosta and Flack, Clark, Lletget, Busio, Williamson?
Yeah, you just leave off Cole Bassett, Pomykal, Christian Roldan, and like that's the thing is like you're leaving off so many names who are either major connections to Europe or studs for their team. It's ridiculous. Hassani Dotson on its own. So I don't want to like.
It's crazy. I forget Hassani Dotson's even available.
He's so good in his own right. Let's look at the attack. So again, obviously we play a 3-man attack. A lot of striker options. I will definitely say that Berhalter was getting his picks in from. But let's start with the wings. So the wings were pretty easy for me.
How many people did we get to select from this?
I went with. I mean, you can make your
like 5-ish.
I think I went with.
I don't know how many we're at this point.
I don't know. I mean, we're at a very loose counting number here.
Let's say 5.
I think I went like 4 wingers and 2 strikers. So yeah, we can do 5 or 6. It's not a problem. But my wingers that I initially started with was Paul Arriola. I think is a dude kind of like Sebastian Lletget, veteran, been around this group,
kind of
played against Mexico. He's our starting right winger. The other winger that I went with was maybe a surprise in Cade Cowell. Maybe
I thought you'd say Jonathan Lewis.
No, I think Cowell's been one of the bright spots on this San Jose season. The dude can pass the ball better than I think half the fucks around Major League Soccer. I didn't really know where to go with that, but that's kind of happened out of my mouth. So I went with Arriola on the right wing and Cowell on the left wing as what I want to see for this group. And I guess no. What's your starting winger pairing look like?
I think I would put Jonathan. I would definitely put Areola as well, and
Okay.
probably Jonathan Lewis.
I mean, it makes sense. Jonathan Lewis. So I
would do Jonathan Lewis.
I had Jonathan Lewis as like my backup left winger. If I was picking 4 wingers from this group, Jonathan Lewis would make it. And then I picked Chris Mueller as well. Even though Mueller has been struggling for Orlando City, we've seen him, play well for the U.S. And I kind of would want to see him out there. He can play both wings.
I feel like you could do like 3 of these wingers, like Areola, Lewis, Cowell, and then pick a striker that you could kind of play both.
None of the strikers outside of like
Robbie
Robinson go out like wide.
Ebobisse could.
I guess he could, but the wingers, a pretty small group, right? Let's talk about the strikers because there is a shit. I mean, yeah,
put it on the wall.
DK I had 3 guaranteed locks. I had 4 guaranteed locks into this lineup. Matt Turner, Daryl Dike,
okay,
Paul Areola, Sebastian Lletget. That was it. I think you can make arguments for other positions. Those are the 4 dudes who I'm like, that's
Reggie
it. Like,
Cannon, I could probably lock in.
Maybe. He was a tough one for me. I think you could also see Julian Araujo start over Cannon. But whatever. So Daryl Dike was my striker. I was like, yeah, like dude's number 1. Now it just comes down to out of this long list who I pick for like a backup striker, right? So what are your thoughts around a backup striker?
Oh man, just looking at this. I think who it's gonna be is Zardes.
Yeah, probably.
It probably will be, but
the realistic pick is Zardes.
I think the one who would excite me the most would probably be like Hoppy.
Yeah, Matthew Hoppy would be a nice pick.
Or Gaiacchini. Haven't seen him in a while.
Even Ricardo Pepi.
That's a good point.
He's doing very well. Mason Toy's doing well. Rubio Rubin has been a surprise for RSL this season, scoring goals. You
can name everyone on this list and be pretty okay with. I think I'd be surprised if it was Altidore.
I mean, I don't want Robbie Robinson, but
I don't think you can take DK and Altidore.
So I'm gonna tell you what I did. What I did was I picked Josie Altidore as what I want to see from my backup striker, and this is why.
Right when I said I don't think you can do that.
So this is why. Within this current cycle, and I have used this as an argument before, and people don't like it, but I will continue to use it as an argument. Within this current cycle, we have 3 dudes who have World Cup gameplay experience. That's John Brooks, that's DeAndre Yedlin, and that's Josie Altidore. Fair. This group has 0. I mean, not that you need World Cup playing experience to play in a Gold Cup. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I want to see Josie Altidore in the World Cup picture in some sort, and maybe a positive Gold Cup can do that. That's what I'm looking for. Is come off the bench, score a goal or 2, and that's it.
I just feel like it's really hard to bring almost like a very
like striker.
Yeah. What if nothing is working?
That's why we have Caden Clark, who just scores goals out of nowhere, bro. Like,
bring Lletget and Clark in and move. I mean, personally, I think I'd like actually after hearing you, like the Ricardo Pepi would be pretty dope. I'd be happy with that.
I like Ricardo Pepi a lot.
Or Ferreira. No, you're not high on him.
I'm kind of off the Jesus. Like, honestly,
did he have 2 goals in that game?
The easy 3 dudes who I crossed off this list early were Jesus Ferreira, Jeremy Ebobisse, and Robbie Robinson. Not that I hate any of those dudes talent-wise. It's just what you've seen on the field from them lately hasn't been there, or they haven't been on the field. So knock those 3 off. Like, I was like, yeah, like done. Giacchini.
I don't think Hoppy gets selected. Even though I'm excited.
I removed Hoppy and Giacchini just because I was like, they're trying to figure out club situations right now. So I don't know if they even want to be there, or if they accept.
So you're left with Toy.
I was left with Zardes, Toy, Pepi, Rubin, and Altidore. I was like, okay.
I think out of that group, I would be wanting Mason Toy, maybe.
I
don't know.
think
I've switched
can...
like 3 times in this one conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's gonna do this, but
to wrap things up for me at least,
I don't
right,
get paid millions to do that.
DK's one, and I think outside of 3 dudes, you could take any of these other strikers, and I wouldn't be upset. I think that's how I view it. But that's
what do you think? DK, Altidore, Zardes is the most likely
to
actually be selected?
Oh, I think we only get 2 strikers out of this group, to be completely honest. 23 man, that's not that big of a roster. It really isn't. Like once you start.
Well, they're going to take 2 goalies.
It's going to be 2 goalies. It's going to be probably
6 to 7 defenders. So you got Vines, Cannon,
Zimmerman,
Robinson.
That's 4.
So you got a backup for a center back.
So let's just say Cameron Carter Vickers. So you have 3 center backs, and then you need what? You're either going to take 2 a left back and a right back, or you're going to take a dude who does both.
True.
So maybe so then if you want to take 7, that would be Bello and Araujo. So that's 9 players right there. That midfield is tight. That's what you're going to take.
Acosta, Flack.
That's 11.
We said Leggett, Caden Clark. Probably Eric Williamson, right?
Yeah, and then Busio.
We'll just do it for this. So we're at what, 15?
We got 15.
And so we got 8 more.
Well, I guess maybe I took an extra midfielder.
So even if we take an extra midfield, let's say we take
just throw
Jackson
in
Ewell.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
16. Then you can. We did take an extra left back and right back. Maybe we take a second backup at center back.
Okay, so then that's 17. So then let's say we have 17 players, and Greg Berhalter
6
in the
players
team.
for striker / winger. Take off 3 for Lewis, Cowell, Areola, Mueller. That's 4 actually. So then 2 strikers. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
We did all that just to prove your point.
There you go. Just for me to prove a point. That was really good. That was really good work.
Honestly, we should just clip that and see how many we actually picked right there. I mean, we just did that off the top of our head. That's kind of fun.
We're doing this better than you, Greg. No. So we're at 1:30 for this episode.
Greg, we only did that in 14 minutes.
If you just listen to us count to 23, then you're a real dedicated fan. So I'm gonna wrap things up here, Jason.
We have a moment like that every episode. If you made it through here.
Thank you all for listening. Jason, thank you for joining. I know you've been talking on a microphone a lot tonight, so I totally appreciate it.
I don't actually have a microphone. I just talk into this thing.
Yeah, well, whatever. But if you guys are watching on Twitch or YouTube, please subscribe, please follow, do whatever you got to do there. If you guys are listening on a podcast, subscribe to us, leave a comment or review. Those are stuff that's totally helpful to us. Again, check out MLSAces.com. That's it. I'm not letting you guys listen to any more of our voices. Peace out. Have a great night.
Yep.